Hello, my name is G-Man, and welcome to the Fumbling Gurus podcast. I am your host, G-Man, and with me are the one, the true, the festive, the sick stomach,
Hey, welcome back, guys.
and then we have the man to whatever direction I'm in, Finn.
I also did I hear sick this week? Hey, sick man, good to see you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
nice.
Uh,
If anyone works
yeah,
in IT, you know where I've been the last week, so it's been a fun week for sure.
yeah, all hands on deck, I'm sure.
Yep.
Uh, well, we have a fun, very eventful podcast. Last week, not a lot of news. This week, an overload of news. But kind of wanted to start off with something that's been plaguing our podcast for a while now, and that is Urban Myer. But luckily, this is probably the last we'll hear his name. So kind of wanted to go over a couple things that has been in the news where allegedly kicked a kicker, and I think that he was accused of telling every other coach that uh, they're losers, which is, pot calling the kettle black there. But, um, I just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought of that. I know he got fired, but, what you think that's the last we hear of him? Let's start with you, Finn.
First off, thank goodness Jacksonville kicked him out. I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna rewind, I'm gonna say it one more time. Thank goodness Jacksonville kicked him out. It was about time. That dude was an utter failure. It was always going to be a failure. It was a weird hire to begin with. This guy had a bad past. Everything, everywhere he went, there was lots of things. In that 2018 that he won a national championship with UF, something like half the team's been arrested since then. It's been ridiculous. Yeah, he has the good Saint boy Tim Tebow, but for every Tim Tebow, there was like 23 Aaron Hernandez's. It was not good. He calls his coaches losers. He puts blame on everybody. It was so bad that just look at his. He mentioned a player, was getting extra snaps and was really showcasing his ability, and he didn't play at all that game. It was time for him to go. It was time for him to get fired. The kicking of the kicker finally getting out was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, but Jacksonville now gets to start looking for their new head coach. And will we hear Urban Meyer? Yes. Big Ten Network, the SEC Network. He'll find a job. Should he? No. But he will.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate that he's going to be in the public eye after this. But let's pass it off to Sid. What do you got to say about Urban Meyer?
Yeah, I don't, it was kind of weird for me at first. It was one of those you're hearing a little bit of grumblings, but there's nothing really substantiated quite yet. But the more you hear, the more things that are starting to come out, the more you're like, okay, I'm leaning towards they're actually telling the truth. And I think you gotta look at too the history. I was at Ohio State, I believe, with some of the like domestic abuse with some of his staff that was on the ord and him protecting them, and then Finn,
Hired him.
yeah,
Hired that guy
yeah,
on the Jacksonville Jaguars coaching staff
yep.
before it came out and he had to resign. That's how the tenure started.
Hmm.
Not to interject.
No, I mean that's part of it, right? There's more than just these stories and the way that he treats people, or the way there's also this um, like consistency of having those people around him throughout his history as well. So yeah, I think at this point there's enough evidence to clearly that there's more going on than we even probably know about behind the scenes. But yeah, I can't imagine. I was reading a story earlier this week that something like 75% of his staff are already either looking or had jobs lined up for next year. So it's like when you get to that point, as an owner or as a GM of a team, you have no choice. Like you're about to not have a football team if you don't get rid of this one guy. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that they're taking the claim seriously. They're looking at what the next step is going to be. I hope it wasn't too late for that team. I hope that they got this change in place in time to save the players and some of the coaching staff and whatever it may be. But um, Yeah, I mean, it'll be less for us to talk about, I guess, week to week, but I guess that's a good thing overall.
When you
Yeah.
have the players saying to their agents and everything else, the deuce symbol, see you later. I mean, apparently the players were all ecstatic to hear the news that broke at it. I mean, he got fired at midnight. The news came out at 1:30 in the morning. This was not something that was, I mean, look at the lines, right? We look at Vegas, and Vegas really knows what's up. The Jacksonville Jaguars were a 3.5 point favorite. Urban Meyer gets fired, and the line moved to 4.5 point favorite. That this guy was trash. I mean, basically, from the reports that I've heard, this was a guy that thought he could just come into the NFL and showcase his power and look at my past, look how good I am, and make it.
Hmm.
I hate to break it to him, but Nick Saban's a better head coach in college than he ever will be, and Nick Saban failed in the NFL. Now we have to. I do want to say something about Urban Meyer real quick. I want to give him some congratulations. He made it longer than George Allen. George Allen was a head coach of the LA Rams back in 1978. He made it 2 preseason games before the players were ready to walk out. So congratulations, Urban Meyer. You made it not quite historical, but I don't know if there was a worse hire in the history of the NFL than Urban Meyer was for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Disastrous. He was disaster. Well, I hope that team, next year can pull themselves together and get a couple wins under their belt, and hope it's not that bad. I mean, they haven't been doing great, for the past couple seasons, but maybe new coaching staff will help. But yeah, going into another disaster, Lamar Jackson is out. The Ravens, and they got 4 weeks left. Are they going to turn this around? Start with you, Sick.
So they don't do bad when he's out. So I'm not too worried about it, but of course he's an elite quarterback. So, you know, he's a dual threat. So there's a lot there where it takes a lot away from the team when you have such a pivotal piece that's missing. Um, and I'm Fed, you probably know who's the replacement quarterback again, Taylor or something.
It is.
But regardless,
Yeah.
yeah, when he comes in, I think what? So he came in against the Browns.
Tyler Huntley.
What was that?
Tyler Huntley is their
Tyler.
backup quarterback.
Yeah. So he came in last week against the Browns. They almost came back in that game. They only lost by two. He played against a team earlier this season. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I believe they ended up winning that game when Lamar Jackson was out. So they don't do bad when he's out.
Oh.
But the I mean, I don't know. They were higher up in the standings. They're kind of what they're. I think they're 8-4 right now. So they're right on the edge, 8-5, right on the edge. So they can't keep losing. They have the Browns and the Bengals right beneath them at 7-6. So they like all these last 4 games. They need these last 4 games. And yeah, I mean, uh, I hope he can come back, and I hope that he's always a fun player to watch. So seeing him not only fight for the playoffs, but then potentially in the playoffs would be fun to watch. So I mean, I'm rooting for him to be healthy and come back, but I know it's not looking, I guess, too promising right now.
No. I mean, their next 4 games are Green Bay, Bengals, Rams, and Steelers.
Hmm.
I feel like he's kind of needed in those games if they're going to have any shot. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Finn, what do you got on that?
14 players are on IR.
Hmm.
The defense is decimated with injuries. They just lost one of their best players on Marcus Peters. They need Lamar Jackson. He is a difference maker at quarterback. You think about their running back situation where they lost everybody and are starting Devontae Freeman and Tyson Williams. Like these aren't guys. Yeah, this wasn't 3 years ago. Devontae Freeman. This is Freeman now.
Hmm.
They need Lamar Jackson's legs. They need his ability to throw the ball. Marquise Brown plays better when Jackson is throwing him the ball. I don't see how they can manage if he misses any significant time. They just have too many injuries. They are just a decimated team. I mean, for as much bad luck as the Chiefs have had with interceptions and turnovers, Ravens have had that same injury or same bad luck with injuries, and I don't see how they can pull themselves out of it. It's they're in trouble. If especially if he misses any amount of time. I mean, he's out this week, and I know that he might be able to play next week, so they need
The
him.
the Browns and the Bengals are only one game shy of them, so that's they're gonna have to fight to keep their spot.
Yeah, the good news for them is that Cleveland has a little bit of an issue uh, with some health stuff going on this week as well,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. So that's going to play a role into it. I mean, they certainly have some luck going their way in terms of Cincinnati didn't, beat up on teams that they could have. So they still have a one-game lead. They still have control, but man, it looks bleak. They don't look like a playoff team right now.
Hmm.
If they make it, they're probably booted out because that's a lot to all those injuries and stuff sustained.
And by the way, when I say 14 players on IR, I just want to be clear. I'm looking at a depth chart right now, and I just simply counted the IRs. There might be more because they only have one running back on IR. I believe they have three. So, so if I said 14 and there's more like 16 or 17, my bad, my bad. Just quickly glanced at a report.
Well, with it's a good segue. COVID's making the rise. They could easily just be the Browns with all those COVID players. I know that it's over 100 players right now with COVID, and it's affecting a lot of teams. There's been the NFL had to move what 3 or 4 games.
Hmm.
I know that the Eagles have moved to Tuesday. I think the Rams moved to Monday, or no, Rams are moved to Tuesday, I think. But
The
regard,
Oakland and the Oakland
Cleveland.
Cleveland game is Monday at
mm,
5
okay,
p.m.
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, no, this is the worst I've ever seen it. I think like from when this started, this is the worst I've ever seen it, and I I don't know if it's going to get worse, but I think this is might just be the beginning. I mean, you have 100 players with COVID. I don't know, when does it stop? Are we going to get? Are we separating these guys? Are they going to get like? You don't you don't just mingle them together. You got to separate them, and I don't know. I don't know.
Do they? So
I
the
I
the NFL just changed the protocols like yesterday, and I'll be honest, I was trying to read them and fully understand them, so I had a better grasp. And excuse me, I got a little busy, but I believe the way it is now, if you are asymptomatic, you only have to get one negative test to get back off the list. And they want to change it to if you are not showing symptoms and you are vaccinated, then you don't have to be tested. So if that's the case, I mean, they're basically saying we kind of we want to condense the numbers. Now, maybe there's research there that I'm missing that says, hey, if you aren't showing symptoms and you're vaccinated, you can't spread it, or the likelihood of spreading is lower. I don't know, but that's what the NFL seems to be trying to do. I know Baker Mayfield's not real happy. He certainly had his point of view saying that it's garbage how they're doing this, but it looks like the protocols might be changing from what they were. I don't. It's
I,
Yeah. I mean, what they're trying to do is avoid not having the rest of the
yeah.
season. So they're making it, in my opinion, more lenient. And oh yeah, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to worry about it. If you're not showing symptoms and you're vaccinated, everything's cool. You can keep playing football. And it's like, okay, like yeah, I get the logic. I understand it. It may even be somewhat correct, but they're just trying to get more players on the field and more football. That's the only reason they're doing it. It's not a safety protocol. It's not whatever. It's just straight up. We want people on the field. How can we get these numbers where they need to be to get more people playing?
Which makes me think that this ain't the end. Like, I think it's
Mm,
probably going to get worse because, I mean, if you're, even though you're vaccinated, you can still give it to somebody else. So, for them to cover it up like that, it's kind of
yeah.
shady on their part.
And I mean, it's not just the NFL. NBA had a couple teams that had to postpone games. And even in Florida right now, the cases are spiking. They're going insane. I think it's doubled the last couple days here. So, yeah, it's all over the place right now. And yeah, I don't think this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see more of it.
What's
Yeah.
interesting to me is the teams that seem to be impacted are
Mm.
impacted, right? Like, I mean, you're talking like 27 players, I think it is for the Browns, 25 players for Washington football team. Right? But then you have the Carolina Panthers with one, the Baltimore Ravens with two. I don't believe there's any in Tampa. Jacksonville, there's none. The Raiders have none.
Tampa's fully
And then
vaccinated. Don't worry about us.
As long
Miami,
as
the
you're paying
Miami
your tax.
Dolphins had at one point one running back not on COVID. Every running back, including the practice squad, on COVID.
Mm.
So are on the COVID list. So it is interesting. Like some teams are just decimated. Other teams are just like, yeah, no, we're unscathed. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't. We
man.
probably won't ever hear the full story, but yeah, I'm with you. It seems sketchy, right? It seems sketchy.
I mean, can you let's face it though. Can we blame the NFL for wanting to get the games through? That's a lot of money that they would forfeit if they have to cancel a game.
That's true.
Yeah.
And honestly, one more thing, and I'll kind of shut up for a second. The NFL's going to make. I mean, they got to be loving this, right? We have football on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 8 of the next 10 days, we'll have NFL football games on television.
As a fan of football, I don't like the Tuesday game. I don't like how you can put a penalize basically a team that has no COVID cases with a team that has 25 COVID cases just so they can get a little extra time to get their stuff together.
Hmm.
That gives the players less time to recover for their next game on no fault of their own. It's not their fault the other team had 25 cases. So now you're moving that team from Sunday 2 days. What's 2 days going to do? You think all 25 players are just going to be negative, have negative cases in 2 days? I don't know. I hate it. I hate it. That it's bias because it's my team. But I hate it. I don't know. I don't like it. Even if it wasn't my team, I hate it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think
And,
any team should have to go through that. And a lot of players on the Eagles have spoke out against it. It's like this isn't fair.
hmm.
Like, why are we being penalized for this?
Yeah, I mean it throws everything off. If you're a player, I think I was reading a little bit about Aaron Rodgers and how he had to change his routine because he can't practice as much right now and things like that. You get in that routine where you eat game day meals, you have superstitions, you go through this routine through the week, and now you got to postpone that routine for a couple days. And now, like you're saying, now your post game routine is going to be thrown off. And it's like you're saying, where do you draw that line of okay, we're throwing this whole season out of whack versus how can we somehow keep the season going with everything still functioning as it should? I don't know if there's a good answer. I guess for me, this is a good answer for this week, but if we get into next week and they're having to postpone 3 or 4 more games, it's like, okay, when do we start doing something different here because you can't just keep every week postponing random games because of these tests.
No, and
Flip side,
this is also crunch time for a lot of these teams with only
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks of football left.
Yeah, these are pivotal games. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would like to say though, you're saying it's unfair for the team that's no fault of their own, but you also have to think: is it the fault of the Cleveland Browns to have 27 players or 25 players get COVID? I mean, they may have been following the protocols, doing everything right, and it still just spread rampant through their team. They're vaccinated, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but it ended up spreading through them. It's not their fault that they got COVID either. So
Well,
is it penalizing a team that's going to lose their starting quarterback, their backup quarterback, and their third string quarterback, and have to sign a guy off the street and start him?
I mean,
Is that fair?
we didn't say penalize the team, but I
Well,
mean,
G-Man said penalized, which is why I
Well,
was mentioning that.
maybe he did.
I'm just saying that you have a team that doesn't have COVID, right? I don't know that Washington didn't follow, like they followed it to a T. We don't know that. We're just speculating at that point. Do we know what all the players do after practice? Mm-mm. They could have went to the bar with all their friends and all the other players, and yeah, So I mean, like we could speculate. Yeah, maybe they did do it to a T, but I mean, when you have a team with no COVID cases versus a team with 25 COVID cases, that spread pretty freaking fast. You know, I I don't know. I don't know.
I will say this, and as a fan, right? Just as a fan, I would much rather see a Baker Mayfield led Browns team. I'd rather see a Taylor Heineke, whatever,
Close
his
enough.
led team. Uh, I'd rather see the best of the best be able to play than to see the guy that they picked up off the street start. We
Mm-hmm.
saw what happened in Denver last year when they started a practice squad wide receiver who last played quarterback in high school. It was awful. It's like watching the Saints play with their current quarterback, right? It's not good. I don't want to see that. I want to see legit quarterback play. I want to see the best product on the football field. So as a fan, I'm glad that they're postponing those games a couple of days to give the Browns a chance. Otherwise, you're going to see offensive players playing two-way
Mm-hmm.
because they something like they've got again. You're talking about a 53-man roster and 27 players are on COVID and can't play. That's half the team. I don't want to see that. Like as a fan, I don't want to see that.
Listen, I don't want to see that either, but it's, giving the other team that you're facing that doesn't have some of the stuff that you do COVID wise, like, is
They
that fair? Is
they
it
get
fair?
they
Like,
get 2 more days of practice and they get 2 more days to prepare and they get 2 more days to get healthy
no, but
and
then
they don't have
no,
all
no, no, no.
the
The following week you get a shorter week. You get a shorter week.
it happens. They play Thursday games and then have to I mean they play a Sunday and then have to play a Thursday game. So they're playing Tuesday. It's 2 additional days. It's not a big deal.
I
I
don't know.
don't
I
think
think
it's
it's if the players are coming out thinking it's a big deal. I think they don't like it. It's probably a big deal.
Are there players coming out against it? I mean, yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield's kind
What's
of
your
like, yeah, wait a second. Why are we postponing it? If it's a
no,
safety
no,
thing,
no,
let's cancel.
no, no, no. I'm talking about the other team. Like the Eagles
Okay.
have come out. Like some of the Eagles players have come out and said we don't like this.
I will say that I'm not seeing that, but that doesn't mean it's not
Yeah.
happening. I just haven't seen it. So I'm sure a little surprised because I would think they would want the postponement, especially since Cleveland's still getting positive tests today. So if they were to play the game today, and then what happens if, the offensive line, 3 of them get COVID? Now that they were infected and potentially impacted the Eagles team without having the proper, time to whatever, right? So giving it a couple more days does 2 things. It gives the team a chance to prepare. It gives them a chance to get off the COVID list, being able to get healthy and play. But it also lets everyone get back home. They're doing everything virtual. They're separating everything. So now when the players do get on the field, you have a better idea of these are the healthy players. These aren't the ones who just haven't tested positive yet.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword because I guess you don't want to see those same players try to force their way back into the game when they're not really ready to go, but or get some more people sick. Gets this whole scenario spiraling again with over 100 people. So,
I will say though, in terms of timing, absolute worst timing imaginable. It is fantasy football playoffs for 99% of the leagues, and people are making decisions now on who to start based on who's available today. I personally started Clyde's Edward Hilaire because I knew that I was going to get points because I wasn't sure if my other player would.
hmm.
So it is a bad time for fantasy football, but we now get football on 8 of the next 10 days, so it's kind of
Like,
you know, take the good with the bad, right?
I'll watch the games. I'm happy. I'm just saying, like, it's just, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I'm on board with the additional games because awesome, more football. But then my team, who's COVID free, has to, you know, almost getting into that wild card slot has to get penalized because the Washington football team has COVID. But I mean, we could agree to disagree on that one. But you did mention Kansas City there, didn't you?
Possibly, I
Did
don't
you
remember.
happen to watch Kansas City versus the Chargers game?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, I'm gonna send it off to you. What do you have
Well,
to say about that?
for starters, I had a lot of interest in that game. As I mentioned, I'm in fantasy football in the
Mhm.
playoffs, and I started 3 players that game. So I had a lot of rooting interest in that game. And it starts off with an absolute bang of a 75-yard kick return. Should have been for a touchdown, except the Chargers do what Chargers do, and that is trip themselves. And then they get the ball inside the 5 yard line. They go for it on 4th down, and they don't convert. And that is the story of this game. The football fans who hate analytics are screaming at the top of their lungs saying, "This is why you don't do the numbers! All you nerds ruining the game. Get off my lawn." And then you have the football analytic guys going, "Yeah, well, the last time they beat the Chiefs, it's because they were aggressive, because they followed the numbers. And it showed that it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. It happens." The Chargers at one point had the ball inside the 5 yard line, I believe, on 2 separate occasions on 1st down and did not score any points. They went for it on 4th down and didn't convert. Then later in the game, they got it inside the 5 yard line and fumbled the football. They opted out of a field goal and attempted a 4th and 5 at about the 32 yard line, that roughly didn't convert. There were a lot of missed opportunities. But the game took off in the fourth quarter. It was an absolute beautiful game to watch. Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. I am excited to watch that. Those two go at it. That rivalry build for the next 10 to 12 years. These are two future all pros, potential Hall of Famers. These are your next greats. And they are in the same division, playing each other twice a year, if not 3 times a year. And it is going to be amazing to watch. And I am so excited. Now, I know a lot happened, and I really didn't discuss too much of that. And that's because I know Sick was watching it because I was messaging him a lot. And I would like him to explain what happened in the
Uh,
fourth quarter.
yeah, you. I think it was like a one message per 5 minutes there, close to the end. But yeah, that was a insane fourth quarter. I mean, to me at least, like there were some big plays heading into it, but it wasn't that exciting of a game for me leading up into like the third and fourth quarter. Um, but man, once that kind of hit, it took off. I mean, for me, of course, the main outlier there was probably Kelsey. I'm still not convinced he's not a wide receiver. Like that was he had 2 or 3 plays where his yards after catch were like 30, 40 yards after he's catching the ball, he's running down the field, outrunning cornerbacks and safeties. I mean, that's a guy that outweighs them by 70, 80 pounds, and he's outrunning them.
Did you hear what the coach said about him?
No, I don't think I did.
So, so earlier in the year, people were saying that he looks like he's lost a step and that he's getting older. And so Andy Reid goes, "He didn't look slow to me."
No. No, I mean, man, I think I texted you, Finn, something in the fourth quarter. I was like, it doesn't even seem human what he is doing. He does not look like he should be that fast. He does not look like he should be that strong. And yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, I thought it was a great shootout because Kansas City was definitely taking it to the Chargers, but then they were answering. They had a couple of their own plays and deep balls that they were able to get down the field. Um, I think one of the things that to me, I think they scored with like 2.5 minutes left. The Chargers did, and then gave it right back to Kansas City. And within a minute, Kansas City goes straight down the field and scores their touchdown to tie it up. I mean, it was stuff like that where I felt the Chargers really could have tightened it up a little bit. I mean, again, Kelsey just kind of dashed them there at the end. And to me, that was kind of the difference maker is they just couldn't account for Kelsey. It reminded me a lot of the Buccaneers offense. I know I've been saying a lot. Gronk is like the key to kind of the Bucs offense. It's a similar play style in my opinion. You just can't stop Kelsey. And if you don't have an answer for him, they're going to make you hurt. So,
Well,
yeah.
what was crazy about that play that you're talking about with a minute 30 left or something like that, so Mahomes hits Kelsey in midfield somewhere like the 30, 25 yard line, and there are three Charger defenders right there, and he makes them miss, they miss, and he ends up getting tackled, I believe, at the 1 yard line, and ends up just, I mean, game's totally changed at that point, and it lets the Chiefs tie the game up. They go for the 2 point conversion. They end up tying the game, and then the game, so a lot of talk about the overtime rules. So in the NFL, if whoever wins the coin toss, if they score a touchdown, game's over, and the other team doesn't get a chance. Well, the Chargers lost that game with a minute 16 left, 2 timeouts. They get the ball at the 25-yard line. They have not punted at all. They had yet to punt that game. They had either gone for it on fourth down, fumbled the football, or scored. And they couldn't move the ball. All right, there was one play, it could have potentially have been flagged, where Justin Herbert fires the ball to Keenan Allen on a deep, 60, 70-yard pass. If Herbert makes a better throw, I think it should have been PI. I did not think it was a great throw, but it was a long throw. I'll give him a pass. But they lost that game when they were forced to punt the ball. And then it goes to overtime, and, well, the Chiefs hit Travis Kelce for a 75-yard touchdown because the corner fell, and that's game. See you later. It made me cry a little bit. Why couldn't that have been Tyreek Hill?
Because he's triple covered.
Well, yeah, but I have Hill. I needed those points.
Yeah, well, it seems like Kansas City is just one of those teams where they're just not, you're not going to stop them. They cemented that division. I don't know. They might even cement the AFC. So, how do you
say something?
Yes.
I said it. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. Kansas City's back. Watch out, AFC.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know I picked them as the AFC champs. So, I mean, if that's any clue,
it's not.
It's not. It's probably not. I don't know. I think you did too, didn't you?
I did. That mattered more than you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's probably true. Who did you pick, Sick? Do you remember?
Bills.
Did we all? Oh, Bills. Yeah. Oof. Well, guys, it's that time again. The old picks. last week's picks. I'm just gonna start this one off. I had the Saints versus the Jets. I had no doubt in my mind that the Saints were gonna run right over the Jets. It was a 5.5 point spread. Didn't disappoint. Ran right over them. Moving on. The Jets. I know that.
Sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin. I know that Sick had the Seahawks over the Texans. Another one that's kind of just like a no-brainer. Sign me right on board. What do you got on that, Sick?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Texans. I was more so picking against the Texans than I was for the Seahawks. But no, I mean, I think the Seahawks picked it up a little bit last week. There were multiple long. I think it was like a 55-yard touchdown to Lockett. So they're getting back into it, and you're starting to see kind of the old Seahawks and Russell Wilson kind of coming out. So it was good to see a little bit of that back. But yeah, I mean, it's the Texans, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy, slam dunk, get your W for the week.
You just shot a 3-pointer.
Whatever.
Don't question the host, man.
Don't question the host. Listen, I don't have a basketball hoop, so 3-pointers and whatever. We're a football. That's why we're a football podcast, not a basketball podcast. But Finn, Green Bay and Chicago.
Never a doubt, man. Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. It's end of story, right? Like, okay, I will say I happened to be busy Sunday night, and so I was not able to watch the game. I kind of tracked it a little bit. I saw that it was a ridiculous game, and it got a little nervous when I looked and saw the score at halftime. But I never doubted, right? All the Green Bay did was Aaron Rodgers phoned into Chicago's head coach and said, Nagy, you're going to get fired if you don't lose this game. And he said, I got you. And then Aaron Rodgers said, that's what I thought. Dominated the second half. They walked out of there. It was a 12.5-point spread. I believe they won by like 17. Like, come on. It's Aaron Rodgers. Don't mess with him. Chicago, just go home. That's 2-0 every year.
Whether he plays away for Chicago or at home for Chicago, still owns Chicago.
Chicago needs to make a play for Aaron Rodgers next year. Can be the owner, the coach, and the QB.
Jeez.
I saw a guy with an owner hat. He had like one of the Chiefs hats, and he wrote "owner" on it, just the thing that they.
There you go.
It made me laugh while I was watching it.
There you go.
I love the memes that came out of that game because the Chicago defender like sacked him and was like made a comment or jest of some kind of like basically like, yeah, you own me, and then Aaron Rodgers like changed hats and it was over.
And then there was an Aaron Rodgers lookalike in the stands. That was kind of funny too. And he was like pointing at the camera like, "We own you. We told you." But all right, now something I don't want to talk about is my upset of the week. Unfortunately, me and Pick had the same upset of the week, so we both took L's this week, and that was the Ravens over the Browns. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking I'm betting on Lamar Jackson, and that definitely didn't happen. He went out, and it just fell apart from there. The Browns, I didn't have very much confidence in them winning over the Baltimore Ravens, but they did, and I took an L. Sick also took an L. You got anything to say there, Sick?
Same boat. I mean, I don't know. It should be like half a point if the starting quarterback goes down and goes out of the game.
Yeah.
We can do majority rules. We can vote on it later. But,
yeah, we'll vote on it. Yeah, just for this week, though. Just for this week.
I absolutely just chuckled when I'm watching that game and Lamar Jackson goes out. And I know that both of you had picked. I believe I sent you a text or a message and went, "Well, good luck with your upset." And then I'm watching whatever game I was watching. I don't remember. It was just kind of nice to sit back and watch games, And I scroll back and see the that they were actually pushing back to win. I was like, whoa, 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 wait a second, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Baltimore looked like a high school team. They just were pushed around up front. They couldn't get anything done offensively, defensively. They struggled. I mean, the Browns were just gashing them with the run, and then they came back and almost won the stupid game. So they battled, but I'm sorry, man. You guys
Yeah,
took L's.
I
It
know,
was
and I
close.
hate
They
it.
only lost by 2, so it doesn't cut me too deep. But we were coming off of everyone getting everything correct, or at least the week before when I was here.
Yeah.
So it would have been
Well,
nice to keep a streak going.
good thing for you, Sick. You had one more game than us because we both had week 14 buys,
Hmm.
and you actually got another win. The Bucks over the Bills with a 3-point spread.
I
You
did.
got it, man.
Yeah, I was. I heard you guys did not think that was going to be the case last week.
Look, we thought the Bills had something to prove. Obviously, the Bucks were like, not in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just
Yeah,
ask one question, Sick?
just
So
one.
in the fourth quarter,
Uh huh.
with like a minute something left, there's a third down play, may have been less than a minute. There's a third down play to a Buffalo Bills wide receiver in the corner of the end zone. And there was a cornerback just basically tackling the wide receiver while the ball was in the air. Do you believe if the roles were reversed and it was Mike Evans that happened to, is there a yellow flag on that play?
I don't know. Mike Evans doesn't get the calls everyone else gets, so I mean that may be a bad example, but I don't. I'm not sure I'm remembering the exact play you're mentioning, but I mean I don't know. That always seems to be your excuse, Finn. Is the Buccaneers either only won because of the refs or um, didn't win because of the refs or something? But I mean. It seemed pretty consistent to me in that game. We can go through and review maybe some of the other, but I don't remember a play where I blatantly thought they missed something.
So I want to just real quick, and I'm sorry to interject here. What I am kind of referring to
Uh-huh.
is there's a play late in the game where I honestly didn't think there should have been a call, but Bills fans they don't agree, and the Bills Mafia, I want to give them a round of applause here because they raised $40,000 for a visual impairment charity in honor of the NFL refs because the Buccaneers corners were draped all over the wide receivers all game long and they were not throwing flags. And of course, they throw a flag in overtime that certainly helped the Bucks out. And so the Bills Mafia does it again with the charity. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean that I can get behind. I can get
Oh
behind a
yeah,
good meme to get one over on the refs for sure. But I mean that is one thing about the game that I don't know. We went into halftime 24-3, and I was like, we're coasting. We have nothing to worry about. I'm not. I wasn't even. I was like, maybe I'll watch third and fourth quarter. I don't know. I mean, we're if we're gonna win 50-6, like I'm just. We'll leave it at that. And then it completely flipped the script, and then it was 24-3 opposite in the second half, and ended up being a tie game, 27-27. It was a heck of a game. I know one of the controversies coming out of it was the use, I believe, in the first half, the running backs for Buffalo did not have a single touch, did not have a single run.
The
Um,
first run of the game for the Bills that was not a Josh Allen run came on a fake punt.
mhm.
The first carry to a running back happened midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, and then of course Josh Allen ends up quasi hurt at the end of the game. This week he's questionable. And it's he got hurt on one of the run plays where he I think he was like kind of tackled going out of bounds. So it's like how much are you going to push your star quarterback? How much you have running backs use them? I don't know, but No, I think the Bucks played well. That was, Buffalo is one of those teams that they're either there or they're not, and almost within that same game, they were either there or they were not. But the Bills team's good, and it was a good game to watch. That overtime touchdown was Tom Brady's 700th overall postseason regular season touchdown. Did you? Speaking of which, did you see? So last time when he scored his 600th regular season touchdown, Mike Evans gave the ball away. Um,
It's
apparently,
the record-breaking touchdown.
what was that?
I believe it was the record-breaking touchdown.
Yeah. So this one is his 700th overall touchdown, and they like hired a guy specifically to go get that football when he scored the touchdown. He's like the guy didn't even finish celebrating before the guy sprinting on the field to grab that ball and secure it so it doesn't get given away this time. It was hilarious.
Kind of hilarious.
And Brashad Perriman, they bring up from practice squad, I believe, for this game, or was it last week? They actually brought him up, whatever. And UCF alumni
Yep.
catches the 700th pass and scores in overtime on a 75-yard, I believe it was, touchdown after a questionable pass interference.
After,
Well,
not the same play.
Not
all
the
I
same.
got, all I gotta say is at least Bill fans weren't, power bombing each other through tables, and they decided to come together for a good cause. So,
After the brain damage they caused, they donated to charity.
yeah, it should be bodily harm charity that they, donated to. But
By the way, if you are looking for a business idea, tables in Buffalo, you're welcome.
true. Just don't make them too sturdy. Well, out with the old, in with the new. We
didn't discuss my upset.
Oh,
Where I picked San Francisco to lose to Cincinnati, and I was wrong.
my
Cincinnati let me down. Cincinnati's a team that's a little hot, a little cold, and I'm a big believer that San Francisco is not as good as they are. And I keep being proved wrong. They keep winning, and I don't like it. Miami owns their first round pick, and they beat up on Cincinnati. They won by 3. Cincinnati kept it close, but it wasn't enough. And so I walked away 1-1, the same as G-Man, the Giants fan.
wow. Well, I'm sorry I overlooked you there. I forgot your W there, or wait, loss. Oh, okay.
It was,
I had it. Yeah, got it.
I got you.
Oh, it's okay. New picks. We we do this every week, and I feel like my locks. I know last week was good, but this week I just don't know. I don't know. I can't pick for my locks. I look at the list. I'm just like, yeah, this will be easy. I could just pick a shoe-in game, but I think I got one of the only shoe-in games. I know that they lost last week against $6, but this week, Bills versus Carolina, I got the Bills. It's 10.5. I think that they're going to blow out Carolina. I know it's a lot of points, but I think that they got this. It's Carolina. Carolina's not that great. Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Ben?
I looked at that game.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You don't
Carolina
like it?
has a very good secondary, and Josh Allen is beat up. He is going to play, but Josh Allen is so roller coaster and I don't know. I don't know if they have enough firepower to get through that secondary and be able to score a lot of points. Now Carolina's offense is bad, so that helps.
That's what I'm banking on. That's what I'm banking on. I mean, I know that Bills have a way better defense than what Carolina has offense, so maybe that saves them. But 10.5, it's a big spread. But I think that I'm gonna win that one.
That's what
And
scared me off of that game.
yeah,
If it was 5 or 6 points, okay, I might have picked it, but we're getting into double digits, not so sure.
I know, I know. Well, Sick, what did you have for your lock of the week?
Yeah, so there are a couple games. That was one of them I was kind of looking at. The What scared me off was just the point differential, and then Josh Allen being questionable, probably more likely starting. But um, I ended up going with team that's been pretty impressive the last couple weeks, all season pretty much. But Cardinals against Lions. Um, I think Cardinals are they're getting back some of the key pieces. I think Hopkins is still out. Um,
Hopkins out for the year.
yeah, he's probably what they're expecting him somewhat for the playoffs, hopefully. But yeah, I think even without him, I think they're still hitting a stride. And so for me, I don't think it'll be a question against the Lions for them. I think the spread's a little under 2 touchdowns, but I'm not seeing that to be a problem for him.
13 and a half point spread.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think they could do it. It's the Lions. I mean, but 13 and a half point spread is a big spread.
It's
I'm
it's a
I'm
tough
gonna
one.
say something, guys,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah,
you're not gonna like. I don't think the Lions are as bad as the record shows.
I really don't. I don't
They
either.
play a lot of close games, and they've been blown out. But they play close games. They play okay defense sometimes. But I'm with you. I like that. I looked at that game very closely.
I,
Hmm.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of games. I think they've lost 2 or 3 by a game winning field goal, um, and a couple of things like that. But I don't think they can survive the passing threat, the running threat. I think there's too many weapons for the Arizona offense, and it's they won't be able to like teams like that have lost that many games aren't good at handling those types of weapons. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Well, I hope for your sake that Arizona blows out Detroit because that would be a very big embarrassment for the Detroit Lions to actually play ball. But uh, Finn, what did you have for your lock of the week?
I love to go against the grain and make sure that I know. I like this one was pretty simple to me. I looked at these games and I said, which team is the most beat up? All right, Baltimore Ravens. Check. All right. Do they have a quarterback? No, they don't. Do they have a defense? Not anymore. Who are they facing? Oh, the Green Bay Packers. They're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good offense. Oh, it's a 6.5 point spread. It's not even a full touchdown. Yes, please. Green Bay ain't gonna lose that game or win that game by less than a touchdown. It's go ahead, sell your house or don't sell your house. Mortgage your house, take all that money, put it on them, and then call it a day. Don't sell it, but take that money, put it on them, and quadruple your money, whatever odds you can get. Boom. This is easy dub, easy dub.
You know, I wish I would have picked that game. That's a good game. That's a good game. That's a good lock. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
not convinced. I'm not
I,
convinced.
I like it. I like it. I think Green Bay is a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to stand any chance versus the Green Bay Packers. So
The
I think
Ravens don't have a secondary.
that they don't got much of anything right now. But
You're right. You're right.
I'm right. I'm right. But no. All right. Let's do
Can
upset.
I make a prediction?
Yeah, you
Can I
can
make a
make a prediction.
prediction?
I
You can
already
make a
cheated. Yeah, I already. We're all on the same page if that's what you're getting
That's was going to be my prediction. The upsets this week, there were not many that I felt comfortable
at. Nope.
looking at. Um I was going to make the prediction that we all pick New England over the Colts.
This is
And
correct.
Mm, the yeah, I did.
so
uh,
as somebody who watches the AFC East closely, I don't believe that the Patriots are as good of a team as the national media wants to make them out to be. I do not. I am not a Mac Jones believer. I am not going to crown him into the Hall of Fame. I am not going to crown this guy the next Tom Brady, the next Joe Montana, the next whoever, but he's a good player. That defense is absolutely legit. And Belichick is one of the greats for a reason. You want to beat the Colts? Stop Jonathan Taylor and make Carson Wentz beat you. Well, if there's one thing Belichick does better than any coach in the league, and that is shutting down your best player, Jonathan Taylor is going to have a rough game, period. It is going to be Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman. Can they do it? And Pittman's going to go up against J.C. Jackson, one of the top corners in the NFL. I do not like that matchup, and I know that they're the home team, so they get that kind of free 3 points. I don't know how the Patriots aren't favored in this game.
Yeah.
I think that was what they kind of showed. What it would have been last week, or I mean the week before against the Bills. That the Patriots are not afraid to do what needs to be done to win the game. And the game I'm referencing against the Bills, they threw what 3 passes the entire game, and they still ended up with a win.
Yep, Mac Jones deserved Rookie of the Week according to Mike Florio.
Maybe in the patience game, but I mean that's what I mean, right? They're like you're saying, they find what is needed. They have a strategy coming into the game that is going to get them the win. Whether or not they execute is a different thing, but they come in with a strategy to win, and it's proven. They're in a 7-game win streak right now.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be shocked to see the Colts win this game. I think the Colts are a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting money on it. Like I think it's more than a coin flip. I think New England has the better defense. And now the Patriots are going to miss Damian Harris. He's going to be out this week, and that's a big blow to their offense. But I don't see what the Colts have that can. I don't see it. I look at the matchups and I don't see the Colts winning anywhere.
No, I'm not a Colts fan, so I'm not a New England fan either. But if I have to choose, I'll choose the lesser of the two evils here. So,
What does that mean? Lesser of two evils.
Lesser of two evils. I don't like
who's the lesser of. So you're saying that the Patriots are the lesser of two evils? I'm going to disagree with that one, man. They're evil.
Listen, there's a 50-50% chance that somebody makes a deal with the devil to win the game. So, and it's probably New England. So that's why I picked them. Anyways, we got teams to talk about, and I actually want to talk with you, Finn. Your Dolphins are facing the Jets. How do you think they're going to fare?
Well, asked me this yesterday when the news came out that Jalen Waddle went on COVID. Javon Holland went on COVID. Our starting running back, our backup running back, our practice squad running back all went on COVID. And we had one running back on the team not on the COVID list. I was starting to question this game. But here's the deal. Miami are playing the Jets. Sorry, Kevin. They're playing the Jets. The lowly Jets. The Jets that are out of fuel. The Jets that can't get off the runway. It's the Jets. They're 9.5-point favorites. And honestly, as long as it was under 14, I was going to take Miami. I think Miami wins this game. I think they win convincingly. I don't think Zach Wilson's going to do much against the exotic blitzes that the Dolphins will throw at him. I think the Dolphins secondary can shut down whatever the Jets have at receiver. The Jets get a little healthy at running back, and I do believe the Jets can take advantage of the Dolphins' front seven, but not enough to make this a game. I think the Dolphins cover easily, and I really just don't see this being an issue. This is the Jets, and again, good teams win, great teams cover. Miami's been a great team over the last 6 weeks. Let's make it 7. Let's get back to 500. Let's just call it a day. Let's make it a day. Call it quits. Boom, boom, done.
I would agree with you. I think the Jets are trash. I think Miami could easily cover that, and yeah, I think you're in for another W in the team section.
I am interested to see how they fare without the rookie receiver.
Hmm.
Jalen Waddle has been their offense, so Tua's now going to have to use Gesicki. He's going to have to use Devontae Parker, and then he's got to use a bunch of guys that have been nobodies the rest of the for the rest of the year. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I
You're
think
not.
for you fantasy guys out there who are listening, uh, Mac Hollins is a receiver that I think may have a big game. I think he has a better chance to have a big game than Devontae Parker, personally.
You're not scared because it's a rivalry game at all. Not even a little.
You got to be decent to be a rivalry game. The Dolphins have beaten the Jets like 9 out of the last 10 games.
Yeah.
It, it
Yeah.
it's been a slaughter fest.
Yeah. Well, I it's an easy W for sure.
Should
Well,
be an easy dub.
well, sick. Your team's facing the Saints. Think that's an easy win?
You would think. Um, if you know the history of the Bucks and the Saints, it's a tough one. And I mean, up front, I'm picking the Bucks to destroy them. I want that to happen, but man, the history tells a different story. Last time we versed them in Week 8, they won, uh, in part to a pick six from Brady near the end of the game. Um, but man, I was looking at some. So here's some stats, right? If we win this game, we clinch the NFC South. First time we've won NFC South in 14 years. We
What?
haven't. The last time we had a title was 2007 in the NFC
Whoa.
South.
What?
And then, I was surprised by these numbers as much as you guys. And then the other thing that also surprised me, let me see here. Uh, they have the Saints have beaten the Bucks in 6 straight regular season games.
That checks.
So like again, I'm looking at looking at the way we're playing and the way they're playing. It's like no, there's no way we're gonna have no problem. And you start digging a little bit into the history and the rivalry, and it's like, oh man, I kind of wish I didn't see those numbers. But
There's one factor that I think you're overlooking.
mm-hmm.
Taysom Hill is their starting quarterback.
Oh, I know, yeah. It doesn't matter when it's the Saints, man. If it's a rivalry game, in my opinion, anything can happen. Anything. But I agree with you. If you look at the two teams currently, we should not have a problem with this. And that's what I'm going with. That's my pick is no problem. We're going to cover the 2 touchdown spread. But man, there's that little thing in the back of my mind. It's like, I really hope this, whatever this is, doesn't rear its head this weekend.
Did you see the Taysom Hill throw last week where he threw the ball to his running back and the ball went backwards? That's the quarterback you're facing. That's Taysom Hill.
I didn't see that. What?
Yeah, so he's dealing with that finger issue,
Oh,
and he went to throw the ball and it popped out and went behind him. Taysom Hill is not good. He's not a quarterback. He's a special teams player and a tight end and a gimmick player, not a starting quarterback.
100% agree.
well, now it's time for my picks, and it is the Eagles versus Washington at 12.5 points. Yeah, it's a big spread, but 25 people on the COVID list, and your starting quarterback's out. I think we got this at home.
Quarterback,
huh?
And their backup quarterback.
And their backup quarterback. Yeah, I think that the Eagles can easily cover this 12.5 point spread at home with all healthy players playing at 100% off of a bye. I think it's easy. And we get a couple extra days because we play on a Tuesday. So, yeah, it's easy. I think they got it. I'll be very mad, and you'll never see me again if they don't beat the Washington football team with all those people on the COVID list. So, yeah. Yeah. Do you guys agree with me? You think I'm crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. If the game were to play today, I'd say, yeah, the Eagles should crush them. What I don't like is that it's Friday the 17th, and they don't play until Tuesday the 21st, and a whole lot of players can come off of COVID in between those days, and that will change that line a whole lot. So no, I don't like that the lack of information, but that's what you
Mm,
got, so you got to go with
true.
it.
True. And I'm willing to take those odds. So it's a do or die for the Eagles. They need that win. But
Both teams need the win.
both teams really need that win. But only one. There can only be one. All right. Well, we got our picks in, and I think it's time to kind of do what we always do. Final thoughts. Finn, do you got any final thoughts for this week?
When you guys watch the game of the NFL, I want you to remember that not just are these are actual human beings, but this is one of the most violent sports in the world, as far as I'm concerned. What happened last night with that tight end was so sad to see, and the guy is on the ground, just absolutely knocked out. They carted him off, and his hand shaking. It was horrifying to see. It was horrifying by the Fox broadcast. What the guy said in the booth there, I'm not going to speculate on the injury, and then says that he was hoping that the guy was shaking from the cold when it was like in the 60s. It was disgusting. I did not like that. It shows the brutality of the sport, and I want you guys to remember that as much as we watch them and we kind of see these guys as freaks, they are still humans. They play a violent game, and on top of all of that, you have the news of the receiver for the Chargers and Bucks, the old receiver there, Vincent Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
having level 2 CTE, and what
Mm-hmm.
these guys do to their body so that we can enjoy it, which is why I'm so happy to see them sign these big contracts and hate seeing guys get hurt and everything. So as we watch the game, just kind of have that in mind. And that's kind of my last thought because it was so recent and it was absolutely horrific. I do not suggest going to watch it if you missed it. If you didn't see it, good job. I'm glad. It was pretty sad.
Pretty
Yeah,
sad.
I was glad to hear the news today that he's stable, he's doing well, they're doing tests, because it did not look good last night.
No.
Um, but I mean, I guess this wasn't going to be my final thought, but now I have thoughts around this. But I think they really need to start implementing some. I mean, it's the same thing with the military, right? People get out of the military and have post traumatic stress and other disorders that need to be dealt with. Same with NFL players. They're saying it's a violent sport, there's a lot of hits. You're doing these small hits over a long period of time. There needs to be something we're doing for these people when they get out. You mentioned Vincent Jackson, which I was going to bring up, ex Buccaneers wide receiver. He died before he was even 40 years old. They did kind of a mortem post autopsy, and did locate stage 2 CTE. So it's like these things need to be diagnosed and caught and treated, and they need support when they're leaving the sport. And I don't know what the answer is, but not having an answer isn't going to cut it anymore. I think there needs to be something we're doing for these guys.
The biggest problem though with that is you can't detect
Mm-hmm.
CTE until they're dead. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes the autopsy, and that's the
Mm,
hardest part.
Yep.
yeah. Wow.
Not to be a
Dang.
downer at the end.
Well, I mean, I didn't really have anything on that either, but I did see that hit, and that was not a good sight. And it was very sad. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything for my final thoughts. I know that was a pretty big one, and I don't know if I can compete with that one. So I
I'll,
think we
I'll lighten it
might.
up a little bit. Go watch the Texans Jaguars game this week. It'll probably be a fun one.
You know, it probably will be a fun one.
You won't have the cold handshake at the end. I just can't put my finger on why that one was bad.
Not touching that one. No.
Not touching that one. anyways, guys, I think that was a good podcast, and hope to see you next week.
It was good talking to you, Sick Man. Always great to see you part of the team. It just didn't feel right without you last
Didn't
week.
feel right.
No, I appreciate you guys stepping in, and yeah, it's always good to be back for sure.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.